It's 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would all rise, Councilman Warner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Byron, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Ridgway.
Here.
Councilman Rose.
Here.
Councilwoman Smart.
Here.
Councilman Warner.
Here.
Supervisor McFarland.
Here. The first of two public hearings is for the Volney Volunteer Fire Corporation budget. It appears as a line item in our general budget on the last page of the handout. I would like to apologize to everybody for the quality of the reproductions. Our copying machine went on the fritz today, and we did the best we could. The Volney Fire Corporation budget, as so far determined by the town board, is $185,000. They originally requested an amount greater than that, and the budget they submitted to the town board for consideration, you have copies of it. Lauren Knapp is here to answer any questions if you have any questions. This is a public hearing, and we welcome your comments. It amounts to, in dollars, to about a 3% increase in dollars over the previous year for 1994. No comments or questions of Lauren? And I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Do I hear a second? Byron poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilman Smart. Councilwoman Smart. Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. It's now 7:04. I would like to call to order the public hearing for the Town of Volney 1994 budget. You have copies. The budget as prepared and in front of you represents a decrease, significant decrease in dollars. It will affect your taxes, I think, also as a decrease. I will now entertain any comments or questions about the Town of Volney general budget. Thank the entire town board for their cooperation and work in putting this together. I think it's very realistic.
actual tax rate for county would go down slightly. The highway is approximately a 3% increase.
You have a question, Dave? Kevin? Yes.
Yeah, you're showing a $4,000 jump in expected revenues for building permits from $11,000 for the budget for fiscal year 1993 to the tentative budget for 1994. Could you explain, would this be, is this partially related to the impending plaza being built, or?
Yes, it is.
Kevin again.
Yes, Kevin?
Is the board satisfied that we have enough built into our budget to handle possible legal hassles, which we may be looking forward to in the coming year? And where would that be located?
Attorney of the company.
Under attorneys?
It is the second item up from the bottom on the first page. That's a good point, Kevin. I think on Saturday would be a good point to, and I'm going to check that off, as to, it should be discussed and perhaps raised.
Although, yeah, I see you did show an increase in that over previous years, so.
Yeah. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion for approval.
You mean to adjourn the public hearing?
Excuse me. Thank you.
I
To
move to-
adjourn the public hearing.
I would move to adjourn the public hearing.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Byron, poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. I would now like to call the regular town board meeting to order. It is now 7:10, both for this meeting and the previous one, Byron, for the volunteer part, excuse me, for the budget. If you would indicate that the same people are present from the board. The first resolution to be voted upon is 93-147, and I will move that the minutes of October 14, 1993, regular town board meeting, having been distributed, be approved without reading. Do I hear a second?
I would second.
Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
No.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
No, I maintain it should be read.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next item is resolution number 93-148. Move that the minutes of the special town board meeting of October 23, 1993, having been distributed, be approved without reading. I'll move it.
Second.
Byron, poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilwoman Rose.
No.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
No.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution, number 149, move that vouchers numbers 264 through 288, Highway Fund, in the amount of $39,471.43, and vouchers numbers 340 through 382 general fund in the amount of $6,616.86. Having been audited, the supervisor is hereby authorized to pay the same from funds available. I will move it.
Second.
Fireman, poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye for the ones that I signed.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye to the ones that I signed.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution, number 150.
You want me to make that, David?
Yes.
I would move the supervisor be authorized to make the following transfers from A1910.4 contingency to A1010.4 town board, the amount of $328.40. From A1910.4 contingency to A4150.4 elections, the amount of $263.20. I so move.
I second it for discussion. What is the transfer to town board for, Dave?
It's principally for all the ads that we've been placing for various activities by the town board, and that's what it relates directly to advertising. Incidentally, that is a typographical error. That should just say move, not I move.
Okay. And the elections, does that have anything to do with that water district special election we had in August? Is that what-
It is because we did have an extra election and the funds.
You're going to need some more in there because some more bills coming today on. You'll have to transfer that next month because they won't be paid until next month.
That's right.
Do you know how much those are, Brian?
Right at the present moment, they're $102. I don't know how much more is coming in. There's at least one more out.
That's principally for election workers, isn't it, Byron?
That's right.
Yeah. Byron, poll the council.
That's the wrong number, incidentally. It should be 4150.1. The salary, it is not contractual. Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Under communications, we have a notice of petition from the Consolidated Rail Corporation for review and determination of final railroad ceilings and judgment against the State Board of Equalization and Assessment, an agency of the State of New York, and the assessing unit set forth in Exhibit A. And Exhibit A consists of every single municipality in which the Consolidated Rail Corporation goes through, and there are many, many of them. And they're just going every single municipality through which their tracks run and attempting to get a lowering of their assessment. Received a communication from Rodney Moss, President Manager of Fulton New Channels, and he writes, "Dear David, as a follow-up to your letter of last November, I am pleased to inform you that we have included monies in our 1994 budget to construct cable to the following areas in the town of Volney. Baldwin Road, east of Route 6, 13 homes, 0.6 miles. Maple Avenue, from the railroad near the Glen to the Muckland, 18 homes, 9/10 of a mile. Dietrich Road and Diston Road, 13 homes and 3/4 of a mile. This will add 44 homes and 2.25 miles of cable to the Volney franchise, representing an investment of over $31,000. When this construction is complete, New Channels will be offering cable service to 85% of the homes in the town of Volney. In 1994, New Channels will begin upgrading cable equipment to expand our channel capacity from 43 to 72 channels. This will open the door for new services like the Sci-Fi channel, Comedy channel, Learning channel, etc. Sincerely, Rodney Moss." I have a letter received today from Mark J. Stevens, custodian for the municipal building. I won't read the letter. He basically resigns as of immediately. I have contacted Wendell Howard, and he was in today, and he has agreed to finish out the year, and I'm very pleased that he's going to do so. I have been somewhat embarrassed by the condition of this building the last couple of months due to lack of care and maintenance. I have a letter from Ed Marks, Director of Planning and Community Development of the Oswego County Planning Board. And he is writing the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation in Syracuse. And the subject is reclassification of surface waters in the Seneca Oneida Oswego River's drainage basin. He writes, based on a resolution passed at its meeting on November 2, 1993, the Oswego County Planning Board would like to offer several preliminary comments on the proposed reclassification of the Oswego River, particularly the proposed upgrade from B to A of the stretch of river between Phoenix and Fulton. The board is very concerned that this proposal does not adequately identify and consider potential economic impacts of this action. Also, we are very interested in receiving an explanation of the rationale for this upgrade and the scientific evidence which supports it. The public notice for the reclassification hearing did not specifically mention the upgrade of the Oswego River, nor did it identify any entity which would be impacted by this action. However, the board expects that there would be impacts on existing entities such as the Village of Phoenix, the Oswego County Industrial Park in Schuylkill, and the Miller Brewing Company, as well as upon future growth and development generally in the towns of Schuylkill, Volney, and Granby in Oswego County. The board is also concerned that the proposed diversion of Onondaga County sewage effluent to the Seneca River could impact the ability of the Oswego River to absorb additional loadings from within Oswego County. This could, in effect, shift the burden of cleaning up Onondaga County to Oswego County. An upgrade of the river to an A classification would appear to be cause for heightened concern over this issue. The board is similarly interested in the rationale and economic impact analysis regarding the reclassification of Oswego River from C to B downstream of Lock 5 in Minetto, between Black Creek and the city of Fulton, and between the western and southeastern boundaries of the Village of Phoenix. The Oswego County Planning Board supports efforts to clean up the waters of the state of New York, but not without a careful analysis of the relative benefits and costs of such a major action as upgrading the Oswego River to an A classification. The Oswego County Planning Board is opposed to the proposed upgrade of the Oswego River to an A classification until and unless DEC provides both a strong rationale for the upgrade, backed by concrete scientific evidence, and a complete analysis of the economic impacts on existing dischargers to the river and future developmental potential in Oswego County. We hope that you will be able to provide us with the requested analysis prior to the public hearing on November 17, 1993. If not, we would ask that no final decision on reclassification be made until such an analysis is completed.
I think it might be helpful if all the members of the board have a copy of that letter later.
All right. Glad to do so, Cody. Those are all the communications. Committee reports. Assessors, Ray Sanford here. Claudia, do you have a report for today?
Basically, Faye and I talked to Chuck Sessler this past month, telling him basically what it is the town was interested in looking into as relates to realignment, that we were going to keep everyone at 5%, which would not disrupt any of the exemptions that anyone has for anything, but it would enable any inequities in everyone who is not an industrial property to be fairly assessed with each other. And he is supposed to be getting back to us when he has figured out exactly what kind of charge he would have to hold the hearings on that. He pointed out at the meeting that since we were not really revaling, we were just correcting assessments but keeping the same level. If we as a town decide that we would rather just have them just change the values ourselves but just work from their worksheet, that's also possible. So we as a board need to meet with Mr. Sessler once he has his figures together so we can decide what we want to do.
Thank you, Claudia. One of the things, if they do send out a report on the realignment, it would be basically, it would not describe how it would impact your taxes. Basically, it would tell you exactly what your house was worth, its market value, and its 5% value, which would be the assessed value. This could be then compared to other homes of like stature, and would allow everybody to know what the assessment service company, what value they placed on your home, and also how you can compare it with those that you think are comparable. They would also allow they would also be prepared to sit down with all property owners that do not feel that they were properly assessed and review that assessment with them. We look at a time frame right now of sometime in January or early February. The next committee reports, Planning Board. Kevin?
Good evening. The last meeting we had was on October 19th. It was a long meeting. We covered several matters at that meeting. One is we approved the Miller Brewery subdivision request and held a public hearing, closed the public hearing, and then approved the request. We began review of the proposed Gregory subdivision, which is a 13-unit subdivision that will be located on Kingdom Road, or is supposed to be located on Kingdom Road. At the meeting, there were some concerns that were expressed. I consequently wrote a letter to Bruce Dillman of the County Health Department and requested that the County Health Department do further tests on the parcel to better determine the presence of water, the quality of the water on the parcel, since that is something that the residents in the area were concerned about. I haven't received anything from him yet regarding that, but I did receive a letter from the County Planning Board, which has reviewed the proposed subdivision, and they have no objections to it. We also at that meeting asked Ed, our code enforcement officer, to look into the residents' concerns regarding the proposed Spalding subdivision that they had regarding that subdivision, which we approved a couple of years ago. He has looked into them, and he sent me a note basically stating that he's looked into it and he feels that that there's really nothing we can do about it, that the concerns have been answered, that the subdivision was handled properly. Also, on 10/27, the Zoning Update Committee held a meeting, and at which time I'll probably let Jess comment further on this, but we completed our review of the Towers Ordinance, and it's typed up, and I believe it's in the hands of the town board. The board members were involved in that process. Maybe Jess, at some point, you might want to comment on that, where that stands. Next Tuesday, we're going to be holding our public hearing on the request by Cellular One to build a tower on some industrial property just off of Pierce Drive. I want to stress at this time that that is the only business that we have planned for that meeting. I have spoken to a couple other individuals who will come to the meeting that we will take care of, who have some serious concerns, but if there is anybody who is planning on meeting with the planning board or speaking to us regarding any matter, and you haven't already spoken to me or you haven't been put on the agenda, it is not our intentions to deal with any other business that we haven't already set up at that meeting. We will be meeting on 11/23, which is the following Tuesday, where we will be handling regular board business. And I would like to say that the public notice was published in the paper regarding the cellular tower public hearing. Unfortunately, I made a mistake on there. I think I stated Tuesday, November 15th. For the life of me, I don't know how the hell I did that. I don't know how I did it, but obviously it's the 16th. The calendar I looked at must be one of those calendars that have the days shifted over or something. I've also been working on revising our paperwork so that if somebody comes before the board or sees Ed and he's going to send them to the ZBA or to the planning board, that there be a uniform set of documentation. So you don't have to fill the same thing out 2 or 3 times. I hope to have something prepared to show Barbara and the board and our code enforcement officer in the near future regarding that. One other piece of business that we did deal with on our meeting of 10/19 was regarding the Wide Waters development, where we at that time gave approval to revisions to their site plan. We approved their final site plan several months ago, but since that time they've been to us at least twice with revisions to the plan. We approved them at the 10/19 meeting. Unfortunately, I think that there were some aspects of statements that they made at the meeting that consequently might not be entirely accurate. There were a couple matters that were left open to be resolved later. And I just want to read one point here. We were pressured throughout this process to complete it as quickly as possible because of the fact that we were told that it was very necessary to do that in order for them to secure their final financing and conclude negotiations with Kmart. There were a couple matters that I'll ask the board if they care for me to explain, but I just want to state that Mr. Girardi stated, this is quoting the minutes of our meeting of 10/19, Mr. Girardi stated that he could ask the Department of Transportation to write a letter to the board which could better explain their views on this matter, but that there really wasn't much time left to wait. Mr. Girardi then stated that Kmart was expecting to look at the revised and signed set of prints very soon, as they have a construction schedule. He also stated that any delays could delay financing. This, I think, was something that helped us, encouraged us to make a decision, which we made in good faith with Wide Waters, assuming that if there were matters left open, we could get them resolved in the very near future. Obviously, we found out shortly thereafter that there might have been a couple other reasons why he wanted the approval very quickly that he neglected to bring up to us that night, but he brought up the following week before the city of Fulton. I'd also like to stress along that same aspect of good faith that, and I'd like to ask the board real quickly, that in viewing the proceedings before the city of Fulton, the attorney for Wide Waters, this Nancy Hornick, I believe her name is, stated on several occasions that she had attempted to meet with the 2 municipalities to try to resolve any difficulties that the municipalities might have. This was sometime between the time that the city of Fulton approved an increase in water and sewer for them and caught all kinds of flack with their residents because of that, and the meeting they had, I believe, just a couple weeks back. She stated, it's on television, that she had met with the 2 municipalities and were unable to come to an agreement or bring it to conclusion an agreement, and for that reason, as we are all aware at this state, Wide Waters was left no choice but to proceed with the idea of annexing themselves into the city of Fulton. I'd just like to ask, did Nancy Hornick, because I must have missed that one, has she met with the town board to try to resolve this matter?
She never spoke to me.
She never spoke to me.
I didn't think so.
Anybody else?
Anybody else ever talk to her?
So, we have a very good cable television network here who tends to show proceedings that go on between the town of Volney and the city of Fulton very regularly. If you ever don't want to watch reruns, you can always go to Channel 17, and there's always something good on there. I suggest that the residents view that because, and about 2 or 3 other stations, because I think that there's some misstatements there. Because those meetings that I'm aware of never took place. I did send some communications to the board regarding a couple questions that have not yet, in my opinion, been fully resolved. And the only thing is that in my position as chairman of the planning board, I feel responsible for, to some extent, the final shape of that plaza. Would the board object if I just took a couple moments and brought out the two questions that haven't been resolved yet and get the public's feeling regarding that? Would there be any objection to that?
Really no objections, Kevin. However, I do believe that that is truly a matter for the planning board itself to resolve. That while you can involve us, you can let the public know your concerns, and they are your concerns. I do believe that it is a matter for the planning board and something that, while we can hear it, I'm not sure there is anything that we as a board can do about it. But, so go ahead if you want.
Okay, my concern is I may not see these people again. You know, and I don't know if they're going to be back before us. I'll try to keep it real brief because I know there's probably a lot going on tonight. Kevin, could you center that a little bit?
Thank you.
Is this okay?
That's fine.
As Supervisor McFarland stated, these are my concerns, okay? I'm not speaking for the entire board, although they are aware of these concerns. This is an earlier plan of the plaza, and there were two areas that, at this point, have not been totally resolved. The New York State Department of Transportation has been arguing with the Wide Waters Group for months now regarding their belief for a need for sidewalks. As you know, there's a apartment complex over here, there's a hotel over here with, as I understand it, plans for another hotel going in next door to it. The New York State Department of Transportation wants to see sidewalks. Wide Waters has been thoroughly opposed to that since the start. We as a board took a neutral position, then we tended to side with Wide Waters till we got a letter from the Department of Transportation which basically explained more fully their feelings for the necessity of the sidewalk, largely involving the possibility of handicapped people, plus the prospect that the additional work necessary to put the sidewalks in would not be that great since they've already got to build curbs with a snow buildup location next to them. So the work involved is not as great as we were led to believe. So the board reversed its position and joined with the New York State Department of Transportation, supporting the possibility of sidewalks. It's also shown, we've also become aware that there is now a Hardee's plan for this location over here, which a Hardee's tends to involve children more. We think there's a prospect of more people crossing the street to go there. Now, where my concern is the New York State Department of Transportation can require the sidewalk, which they have done just recently. But they only can require the sidewalk to the right-of-way, which is this part right here. What I'm worried about is what's to say that Wide Waters is only going to put the sidewalk in where they have to put it in. If that's the case, we may have a situation where a sidewalk comes to an end at the right-of-way, and residents would have no choice but to walk to the driveway to get to the plaza. And what we've tried to talk to Wide Waters about is, hey, if you're going to put the sidewalk in, if the state requires it, you should at least run the sidewalk to the parking area so that residents can get to the parking area without having to go on to the only entrance exit to the plaza. This matter was left unresolved because at the time of our last meeting, the New York State Department of Transportation hadn't made a decision yet. Since that time, they have. I don't know if we're in a position to deal with this. What I've asked the board in the form of a memo would be to at least direct to our code enforcement officer as work progresses to ensure for public safety reasons that if a sidewalk is to be built, that it be extended at least to a parking area so that the residents are not forced to go onto the driveway. I think that this can be done in the form of a recommendation, and I think for public safety reasons, it's just a very obvious, the right thing to do. The second question is a more controversial question, and that's involving the emergency entrance to the rear. The original plans for this plaza showed no entrance whatsoever. I mean, no secondary entrance whatsoever, okay? The state had a series of proposals which Wide Waters initially rejected, and they ended up with this proposal. The board, right from the start, has expressed concerns that if during a traffic buildup or during a problem, fire trucks would have no way of getting into the plaza. So we were able to convince Wide Waters to at least put in an emergency entrance to the rear. Now, Wide Waters has come before us at least 2 times since this final site plan with changes. And I'll be honest with you, over the course of the last few months, I've been giving it a lot of thought as well, and I've got a couple changes that I'm concerned about. I have not been to any plaza that anywhere remotely matches the size of this plaza that doesn't have a rear entrance, or doesn't have at least a second entrance. Jamesway does, Great Northern does, Walmart does, Wegmans does, across the street from the Great Northern Mall, even that plaza has a secondary entrance to Route 31. We're coming into the Christmas season, and if anybody knows what it's like to pull into a shopping plaza during Christmas season, there can be problems. And I think that I don't understand Wide Waters' reasoning, but I think they're short-sighted, particularly now that we have a letter stating that they are in negotiations with another national tenant. So obviously, I think we're all knowing that this plaza is probably going to be bigger than they've told us about originally, that they plan on directing all their traffic flow through this one entrance. I'm not an engineer, but I've had a little bit of experience with this, but I also know that engineers who work for companies can put together engineering reports that agree with company feelings. You know, it's like statistics. What I've done, I was told by Wide Waters that the primary reason why that this is only an emergency entrance is that the Department of Transportation doesn't want a secondary entrance. I have contacted the Department of Transportation. We have received a response, which the board has, which expresses that their only concern is the possibility that people coming this way could pull in here and take this way to take a shortcut to get into the mall. I think that's, I don't know how reasonable that is, but what we have proposed and what the Department of Transportation has proposed is the possibility of an angled entrance that would be open all the time. I want to stress that this entrance would only be available in emergencies. It's barred. It wouldn't even be paved, according to what Wide Waters wants to do right now. We're talking about an angled entrance that would allow a right-hand turn out of the mall or a left-hand turn into the mall. That is designed to discourage people from here trying to get in there to take a shortcut. But, in my opinion, particularly for Town of Volney residents, there's a heck of a lot of them that live up here. You've got Maple Ave, you've got the Glen, you've got more development coming. There's going to be a lot of people that'll be going down this road to go to this mall. And you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to go to here and take a left-hand turn onto 481, then go to the light and take another left-hand turn into the mall. I think it's ridiculous. And there's also, pulling out of here already, right now, is a very big problem. It'll only be increased. To me, this is a reasonable alternative, okay? And I think it's the right thing to do. What I am requesting is that in communications with the State Department of Transportation, if the town board and maybe the planning board should recommend it, would recommend to the State Department of Transportation as part of what they call a work permit procedure. Because the State Department of Transportation is dictating to Wide Waters how they're to build this. If we ask them as part of a recommendation to include what they recommend as a left-hand, right-hand turn only exit as part of this entire work permit procedure, I understand that if that was done in the form of a resolution, we can get this matter resolved, whether Wide Water wants it or not. My problem is I don't know if they're going to come back before us again. And I don't want to 5 years down the road be at one of these meetings and have people ask why the heck there wasn't a rear entrance put into that Wide Waters Plaza. And thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate you giving me the time to go through that.
That's all. Thank you, Kevin.
Could I ask a couple quick questions, Kevin?
What you're saying is that there's nothing you can do as far as seeing that this gets done the way you'd like it done. The planning board is actually done with this now, and they can't, they don't have any say in this anymore?
I think that we have, as a planning board, completed our review of this project. The only thing we do have coming up, And I would also like the board's input on this. I've got Hardee's that's going to want to come before us for site plan approval. Now, how should I be dealing with Hardee's if we stand the possibility of getting into a litigation type matter? You know? If they're thinking about taking this doggone thing and making it part of the city of Fulton, should I even be dealing with Hardee's at this point? I don't know. But other than that, we've signed off on this, we're done with it, and these two questions were left open, that they were going to come back to us later. Of course, at that time, we didn't know that they were proposing annexation.
So from there, then the town board should get with the state DOT on this.
I think, according to the letter I put in your box, I think that they said if in the form of a resolution, you recommend that the state adopt their proposal, or that we agree with their proposal for a controlled rear access, and that we support including that as part of the overall work permit. I could follow up on that if you like, and try to get some specific wording if you care to.
Kevin, excuse me 1 second. What I would want before any of this is done is a recommendation from the planning board. These are your, and I'm not saying they're good or bad.
Right.
I'm just saying that these are your thoughts, but they may be very good ones. But I want the entire planning board, or I would want the entire planning board to make the recommendation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we would also welcome any public input. I mean, I'm telling you folks this because I want to know what you think. Okay? If this is not a good idea, let me know. A lot of you people live up there. How do you feel about it? What would you like to see? So I would encourage you to give us a call. We'll be meeting next Tuesday. Let us know what you think about this matter. How would you, is it important to you? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One last question, Kevin. What is the time frame for this? Do we have time to go back to the planning board and have them recommend and all this, or is it running short on time?
Well, I'll put it on our agenda for the meeting in 2 weeks. Again, in that letter, the Department of Transportation did state that timing is important. I don't know, that's an open-ended question. But I would prefer, I think that in the next month or so, I'd like to see something done on it, either one way or the other. You know.
Kevin, if you come back with a recommendation from the entire planning board, and you would add some verbiage that you think would be helpful for us, would you include that?
I sure will, Jim.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate getting the opportunity to bring this out.
Thank you also from the entire board. The next report is the zoning. Barbara?
Good evening. We had our final meeting on the public hearing that we held in October, which was continued last night. And the applicant withdrew their request, and they are looking in a different direction. Our next meeting is December 8th at 7 p.m. here. There is nothing on the agenda that I am aware of at this time, but anyone who would care to attend that meeting is more than welcome, and we would welcome the public so they can see what goes on during our meetings. Also, at this time, I would like to announce that for the board and for any committees, along with Kevin Conley, we are having a 2-hour training session, which Scott Chatfield will be giving for us at 7 p.m. on December 7th at the Town Hall. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Code Enforcement Officer, Ed Kuhn.
Last month, there were permits issued for 3 barns, 1 archery range, 1 shed, 1 remodeling project, 10 homes, and a garage. A total of 17 permits. The total fees were $1,583.
Thank you, Ed. I don't see Joe Doty here.
I don't have a report either, and Byron didn't get one either.
No report. Highway Department, Byron, do you have Bob Kerping?
Highway Superintendent Report, October 1993. 19 days repairing roads, 15 days machine repair, 3 days mowing roadsides, 7 days hauling ice control sand, 4 days repairing signs. October payroll, $19,084.22. Material and machine repair, $39,471 and 43 cents, for a total of $58,555 and 65 cents.
To my knowledge, there are no other reports to be given. Old business. I have no old business. Does anybody on the council?
Well, the only thing I got, Dave, is comes under old business. A special meeting I wasn't able to attend. I was working. It seems that there was a resolution for the town highway to bid a new truck.
Right?
It was in the paper the following Monday. The paper does not work on Saturday, so that means the resolution had to get down there either Thursday or Friday before your meeting, and you voted on it. Now, I think it's not proper. Then, tonight in our resolutions, after getting the bid, I don't even see the truck in here.
No, it's not.
Must be the wrong bid.
No, we got, as you well know, you looked at them. We did get 3 bids in. I felt that without Bob Kerping, he was unable to be here tonight, and I knew there would be questions, so we are not going to award the bid until he can be here. He will be here next month.
Well, the only other thing I got on that is I do know one person that bid it, their truck can't meet specifications because of wheelbase and a few other things. But they did bid it, and
Is it possible that Bob Kirby will be here Saturday when we go over this budget for approval, do you know?
I think he might be. Public comment on resolutions and resolutions only, please. Yes.
My name's Alan Kester on Resolution 93-159. After the fourth whereas the town attorney Dennis Hawthorne Jr. for various reasons respectfully declines to represent the town with the annexation litigation. This is referring to Whitewaters, as you know. Would you care to tell us what the various reasons are? Is he presently, at this present moment, represent the attorney for the town of Volney?
Yes, he is.
Are you at liberty to tell us what his reasons were?
One of them is that he is not as well qualified in dealing with annexation cases, and there are people who are much better qualified than he, and I think you would want a more qualified person than he is.
He said he also was not going to be reapplying his town attorney, and so he felt it should be handled by someone that there would be continuity.
I guess we'll get into Whitewaters when it comes to public comment, but we have not received any. Let me see here. I thought there was a thing in here about they're going to serve us with papers. Maybe I was reading something else. We've not been served with any papers that the city of Fulton is trying to annex the area as of today, right?
As of today, no.
Thank you.
I believe it is very imminent, though.
Yeah, I believe it is too.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I'd just like to comment that I'm happy to see that Mr. Hawthorne has recommended that we use another attorney. I think that zoning and annexation is a very difficult issue, and it does take someone with a, strong expertise in the area. So hopefully we can find someone who has that expertise. And I appreciate Mr. Hawthorne's thoughtfulness towards the town in that matter.
Any other questions concerning the resolutions? The first one we voted upon is number 151. Whereas Supreme Court Justice Robert J. Nicholson issued a decision on October 14, 1993 in Ray, the Syracuse Telephone Company versus the town of Volney in an Article 78 proceeding, and whereas the town attorney, Dennis Hawthorne Jr., has requested a determination from the board on whether it wishes to appeal the decision, therefore, I will move that the town board does not wish to appeal the decision as cited above. Do I hear a second?
I would second.
Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next one, resolution number 152. Whereas there has existed an exemption for persons 65 years of age and older for general municipal and school district taxes at the rate of 50% of the assessed value of the property for persons with a maximum annual income of $12,525, and whereas a sliding scale exemption for incomes greater than the base is now permitted with municipal approval, that's real property tax law section 467, therefore move that the following sliding scale exemption schedule as a percentage of assessed value be adopted. I will move it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Basically, this has been suggested by Faye Sanford to me as the liaison, and it sounded like a good idea. This way, under the old system, if your income was $12,525, you could get 50% reduction. If your income was $12,526, you could get no reduction. This way, there is an easing out of that so that no one gets chopped off with nothing. It's either 50% or nothing. They can get some tax relief.
Byron, poll the council.
Excuse me.
Yes.
But at the same time, Claudia, if the person makes under the 12,525, they'll still get the 50%.
They'll still get the 50%. This will not knock anybody out or cut anybody's benefits. This will extend it to people who didn't have it before, but at a lower rate than people whose incomes are lower than $12,525.
So roughly somebody could make up, say, 13,000 and be eligible for 45%.
Right.
A little over 13,000.
Right. Right.
Did Faye supply with any kind of a printout of sorts that tells us how this is going to impact the taxes in general? I mean, how many people are eligible for this?
He said he didn't think there were a lot of people that this would impact, but and it wouldn't be a large enough impact that anybody would really feel it. But the people that it would affect, they would feel it greatly, so that was why he was suggesting it.
Any other discussion? Byron, will you poll the council, please?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Resolution number 153, move that stop signs be erected at the direction of the highway superintendent at the following intersections in the Glen 2 development: Foxwood Avenue onto Fay Street, Quail Avenue onto Foxwood Avenue, Foxwood Avenue onto Wildwood Avenue, Wildwood Avenue onto Old Maple Avenue, Oak Ridge Avenue onto Wildwood Avenue at 3 separate intersections. Further, move that no outlet signs be erected on Quail Avenue and Old Maple Avenue at the direction of the highway superintendent in the Glen 2 development. I will move it. Do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion?
Yes. When would these signs start going up? Being that there's very few houses down there.
I would imagine as soon as we approve this resolution. While there may be very few houses, there is still traffic there, and proper signs have to be erected.
Another expense of the town this year.
Yes.
How much traffic is there to that area now?
Well, I think if you look at the alternatives, without a stop sign and there is an accident, Claudia, I think the town would be held liable.
Once we've accepted the roads,
Seeing once the roads are accepted, yes, we are now liable for
That's right.
anything.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the roads haven't been accepted by this council, they were only accepted by Claudia Smart. So I don't even think it's valid that there are roads. I don't know where, and there's nowhere in town law that says one person on this board can accept roads. Until you prove that to me.
To accept the roads, Howard?
Who voted to accept the roads?
You did.
No, you voted to give Dave McFarland the power to make an agreement with Larry Rowley. We did not make an agreement to accept roads, and that can't even
The
be done.
road superintendent
The road
is
superintendent.
the one who accepted it.
He accepts them and presents it to the board. The board is the one that officially accepts town roads, not the highway superintendent.
Well, do you want to vote on that tonight?
I think it's kind of late, but if you want to bring up the motion.
Well, if you're sure it hasn't been accepted, then you want to vote on it?
I'm sure it hasn't been accepted, Claudia, because the proper procedures weren't followed.
Well, then,
We could,
This
let us
motion-
let us vote on this motion. If the I can't believe that. Let us vote on this motion whether the town has officially accepted the deeding of the highway or roads, and if not, we will have it as a resolution at our next meeting. Byron, will you poll the council?
well, then we're gonna,
As long as there's a road there, I'd like to see stop signs up.
even if it's not the town's.
Yes.
Jess, I believe it's the towns. I wouldn't,
I don't,
we couldn't
I'm
do
sorry,
that.
I'm sorry, Jim, I don't.
Well, I do, and I think that we're very negligent if we do not put up those signs. Now, we're gonna argue through an issue, and we're certainly going to go through and research it, but at this particular point, we've got a month without stop signs in that area. I've driven through that particular area. I think numerous people here live in that area, and they drive through there, and I can see two cars coming, whipping down through there and getting into trouble. And I think we personally would be negligent if we didn't put up those signs. I firmly believe that.
And the cost is minimal.
Why don't we check with a lawyer? We can always vote on this on Saturday at the budget meeting.
No, I would prefer to vote it now, Claudia, only because we can make it contingent upon researching it, but I really have a problem not putting up the sign.
What's the cost?
Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
I'm going to vote aye because I have the same concern you do, Jim, but I still do not believe there are roads. I don't want anything to happen in the interim until we find out if it
That's
causes
my
a
concern.
liability.
Same thing.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
I'll vote aye for the same reason.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Next resolution, number 154, move that the town clerk be authorized to advertise to fill positions for appointments for the year 1994. In addition to those previously advertised, the position of bookkeeper will be included. All applications to be received in the office of the town clerk by 4 p.m. no later than December 7, 1993. I will move it. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilwoman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Resolution 155, move that the town clerk be authorized to advertise for bids to furnish diesel special fuel for the highway department for the year 1994. All bids to be received in the office of the town clerk by 4 p.m. no later than December 7, 1993. I will move it.
Second.
Any discussion? Byron, poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rose.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. Resolution 156, move that the town clerk be authorized to advertise for bids for furnishing washed gravel and ice control sand for the Highway Department for 1994. Specifications for same are available in the office of the town clerk during regular business hours. All bids must be received in the office of the town clerk by 4 p.m. on December 9, 1993. They will be publicly opened at 7 p.m. on December 9, 1993. The board reserves the right to accept or reject any or all bids. I will move it. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
Can I ask you a question? Since I had a mistake on the notes, do you intend to open that the board night or the work session night?
It should be December 7th. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
I'm asking.
It would be the...
The 7th is the work session.
That should be the 7th.
December 7th.
Yes. In both cases.
If the first one is 7th.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution, number 157, you have handouts for that resolution. It is what is commonly called boilerplate that banks and lawyers use. Basically what it is, you are renewing the bonds, you are paying off part of the overall indebtedness, and then you have to renew those bonds each year. We paid off $15,000 on a truck for the highway department. This year, that was $45,000. We paid off $15,000. It is now $30,000, as you can see from the copies of the bond anticipation note and the bond resolution. Unless somebody wants me to read it, I can't imagine anybody wanting me to read all this boilerplate. But if they do, I will be glad to do so. Anybody on the board? Number 157, did I read that part? Move that the bond resolution of November 11, 1993, authorizing the issuance and sale of serial bonds of the town of Volney for the acquisition of a truck in the amount of $30,000 be approved. I'll move it. Second?
Second.
Byron, poll the council.
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye. The next resolution is, the same comments apply. I will read it. Number 158. Move that the bond anticipation note resolution dated November 11, 1993 for issuance and sale of notes of the town of Volney, Oswego County, New York, in anticipation of the sale of $30,000 serial bonds for the acquisition of the truck. I'll move it.
Second.
Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smart.
Aye.
Councilman Warner.
Aye.
Supervisor McFarland.
Aye.
Please have to sign.
Yeah. I will be passing these to you for your signatures. The last resolution, number 159, whereas the town of Volney, through its elected representatives, has gone on record to resist annexation of property located within the town, and whereas the Whitewaters Group has begun the River Glen Shopping Center in the town with limited sewer and water services to be provided by the city of Fulton, and whereas the Whitewaters Group has now indicated to the city of Fulton, quote, that we would like to have an unlimited amount of sewer and water services provided to the shopping center in order to assure its full development, unquote. And whereas That quote incidentally is a letter to the city of Fulton from Widewaters Group. And whereas the city of Fulton has legislated that as a condition of providing increased water and sewer services, the Widewaters Group must seek and obtain annexation to the city of Fulton. And whereas the town attorney, Dennis Hawthorne Jr., for various reasons, respectfully declines to represent the town with the annexation litigation and will serve in an advisory capacity to select the appropriate attorney or law firm, therefore move that the town supervisor, in concert with the supervisor-elect, be empowered to employ a law firm who has had experience with annexation litigation and who might be available for the town of Volney. I will move it
For discussion?
for discussion.
First of all, did you get any names of attorneys from Dennis at all today? Or?
Dennis has, I talked to him, he has several. I asked him to weed it down to a few that we could interview, or you could interview.
Well, I think it might be nice if the whole board met these people.
It might get cumbersome to get the whole board together for interviews, and that's why I did what I did.
Okay, the only concern I have
If we can all meet, that will be fine. But if not, I think in the interest of time, it will be Howard and
Just
I.
whoever is available.
Yes, it will be whoever is available.
Okay, the only concern I have here is the wording "empowered to employ a law firm," meaning that, once we have an immediate need, I assume this is going to transpire immediately. Right?
Yes.
Don't we have an immediate need right now?
Well, we don't know. I mean, until papers are served, we don't have an immediate need. I mean,
Well, the thing is, if you don't have an attorney on board to be looking things over, to know what the correct course of action should be, from some of the information I've got already, the very first step is whether or not this is a valid petition. Now, if we don't have an attorney right on board that can look at that and see whether or not there are flaws in that petition that will slow the process down and give us more opportunity to prepare options to defend the town, then we would be being negligent to the town.
I understand that, Claudia, but my concern, I guess, is that, we're all anticipating a petition. It's possible there may not be one. Maybe it's a slim chance. I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. But given that, I'm just concerned about hiring someone, expending money for someone.
Well, most places do it by billable hours, and if you just hire somebody, they aren't into billable hours yet, but that way they'd be all set to just give the information to and start. That's my
You have
concern.
them start something. They'll start researching at some point. That's what you're expecting to do, right?
I think if we do our homework correctly,
It'd be
there's-
someone that would already know
I think
annexation.
they would just be anticipating the petition and seeing what is required to respond to it.
I certainly think we need someone on board, though. We need to have someone we have immediate access to, right? I would think that.
Well, I agree with
Just
you.
access.
Someone that's immediate access. I'm just concerned about approving this and then having a dollar amount that we don't even know what it's going to be yet, waiting there for us, and that's my concern.
Well, if you lose part of the town, the dollar amount's going to be very large.
I just don't know if we really need someone to pay in advance of this without knowing for sure if it's
Well, you
even
can
going
just
to
have
happen.
them set up, but have them do no billable work for you until you know what's
Wouldn't there be a
necessary.
retainer fee involved or something?
Not usually. No, it's billable hours.
Okay, well, with the understanding that there's no retainer fee and that the hours will only billed as we need them, then I could agree to this, but I just don't want to go ahead and, retain someone at a fee and then start them working in anticipation of something that may never happen. That's my only concern. The other concern, I guess, is we don't have a name listed here. Who will be deciding on who that attorney is, the whole board, or how are we going to approach that?
The way I worded it in here, that it would be you and I would have that be just in the interest of time, rather than try to convene. You're going to have to set up appointments with these people, and if others are available, that'll be fine.
Okay. Well, the way you're making it sound then is if, say tomorrow, a petition is delivered to the state of Fulton in the town of Volney, we'd have to jump right on that and hire an attorney right away and get moving? Is that what you're saying? Or
No,
They cannot petition Fulton first, they have to petition us first.
Okay. Okay, let's assume that they petition us tomorrow. then it's up to Dave and I to pick an attorney quickly and get something rolling. That's what this is all about.
Now,
correct?
if one of you was out of town, what would the contingency thing be on this?
I would say, and I probably will be out of town, would be fall upon the deputy supervisor to meet, work with supervisor-elect, and also to try to get Jess and Jim, if they are available, to also.
Well, as long as there's, you know, it is implied, because I don't want it to be because somebody happens to not be around that we don't do anything. That's my concern.
I think.
Are you going to be anywhere?
I don't plan on being anywhere, but we don't have to respond to the petition right away. We have so many days.
You have time, yes.
And that's my biggest concern. I'd really rather meet as a board. Personally, I'd rather do it that way. I don't think it's anything that needs prompt attention.
It needs prompt attention, but I think most of us could rearrange our schedules.
Right. I mean, within 48 hours, I'm sure we could all get together if this thing comes to fruition and act upon it. I don't think that we need to do what this resolution states. I'm just concerned. I'd rather have the whole board approve an attorney. I'd rather have the whole board approve the action that we may take on this issue instead of one or two of us. That's my personal feeling.
The reason why I am in favor of having a resolution tonight is that way we don't get into any requirements about times to set up a meeting to vote to approve hiring an attorney. This way it is approved to hire it. However, I would prefer if all of us were in agreement on who the lawyer was.
Exactly, that's what I say too. I think we all should be in agreement.
We should all be in agreement on that. It is not legal to retain an attorney without a resolution because it is an expenditure of money, and it isn't like continuing on with a subsequent action by a town attorney where you have already approved the fact that you will pay money to that person. I don't want anything that would slow down our timely response in defending the town. And this way, it would make it so that someone could be hired because we've already authorized the expenditure of funds if necessary. And but I would prefer all of us were there if everybody is available.
But if they're not available, I want them
We want
empowered to
whoever
act.
is
I want
there
whoever's
to
available
be able
empowered
to-
to act. I don't want us to sit there for an eternity waiting for someone who's out of town or something. I think it's got to be done.
I don't
and it has
think
to be
that would
done.
happen, though, Jim. I really don't.
But at least-
Dave can call a meeting on a moment's notice if he has some special emergency meeting, in which some cases would probably be.
Well, this way, this type of paperwork is done, and we can just call everybody and get together.
I'm just not comfortable with Claudia. I think that if Dave isn't here, you could call it a special meeting. We could get together. Three of us is all we need to get this thing rolling.
You need three. I'm going to be in Albany for some time later on this month, so there's a question whether I'd be available. And if you put it in a position where we all have to be there, it doesn't make sense. I think that if you've got
No, we don't
the two
all have to
people-
be there. A quorum of the board has to be there. You know,
Well-
I'll be available.
I don't care as long as it's done.
Well,
If it's
why-
the two
why
or
don't
three,
we-
it doesn't matter.
What I'm going to suggest is we approve the motion as
written.
as stated, as is, and then with the understanding that if I'm out of town, then Claudia, as deputy supervisor, can call the meeting and get you and whoever else might be
And
available.
hopefully, all the other board members there.
Yeah, I think if whatever two people sit down and meet with the attorneys and you come into agreement of selecting an attorney to represent us, then you can call the board together to vote yes or no.
Well, I think it's a matter,
I mean,
we're
we
voting
got the
yes here,
resolution.
we're voting yes here, it's who it is the...
Well, this is what you have two representatives to come into agreement on to pick, to select the.
Well, I just would feel more comfortable that, that way if there was any reservations that anybody had about a certain law firm, that way they could say it ahead of time, and
Well, I think we can note it.
I want everybody to feel comfortable with whatever law firm it is.
Right, and right now, we don't have any listed, so we don't know who that would be. And if we get a petition tomorrow, and for some reason I have to go out of town unexpectedly, and Dave's the only one here,
Chris, don't let him leave.
I'm just trying to be realistic here, you know,
Yeah.
it could happen, and, you know,
That's
But
my point.
We've got to get the wheels in motion. We've got to
I
get the
agree,
wheels.
I agree. But I think we can do it without this motion. I really don't think we need this motion to do it. I
You
think we-
have to have this motion on the books, Howard, to hire and to be authorized to hire the person.
This is,
Right, that's why I want to call a quick special meeting if we do have to respond to a petition, and do it that way. Instead of setting this up on paper, I don't think there's a need to do that.
I do, but
I do also. There could be a problem in getting a quorum present to vote.
Well, if it takes a couple days, that's not going to delay us that much to make a difference, I don't think.
I'd like to have this resolution passed simply so that we can go ahead and proceed with looking for an attorney.
We don't need this to look for an attorney, we can look for an attorney anyway. Why do we need this to look for an attorney?
I think time is important here, Howard. I really do.
I get
This
the
isn't going to
feeling,
speed up the looking for an attorney anyway, we can look for an attorney anyway. I just don't understand the reasoning behind this, what the expediency of this is.
The Wide Waters Group is going to, and their attorney is going to be moving just as fast as they possibly can, because if you go over to that project, you will see a lot of dirt being moved, a lot of cement being poured. They're really moving along. They aren't going to, and they are going to need these services very, very soon. They aren't going to dawdle. I think the sooner that we have our attorney lined up, the better off we're going to be. I don't want any time to pass after we get a petition and to start looking.
Let me understand the situation now. When they serve a petition, we have so many days to respond to it, first of all. Also, we have to have a public hearing. And that's going to take some time to set
however,
up.
one of the very first thing is whether or not you are accepting it as a valid petition. And if there is something about it that makes it so we can reject it as a valid petition, I would not want it to be that we didn't act in timely enough fashion that we couldn't throw it out for
You know
that.
how much time is required to do that?
Well, that's why I think we need a
that's
lawyer.
lawyer's attorney.
Well, we could have found that out before tonight.
No, and there are other things that we as a town can be doing to protect ourselves in this action, and we need to get going on getting an attorney so we can get started.
I agree, but I just think we can do it without this resolution. I don't see where this resolution offers us any more than what we can do without it. That's my concern. I'm just not
Well,
comfortable.
this way, if when the whole thing hits, there isn't a quorum available, we've already voted.
If three of us are out of town, and it's a distinct possibility Dave might be, I know I'm going to be out of town, I don't know about you, Jess, or Claudia, but that's a possibility we've authorized here, and I see absolutely no reason why. Howard, you're totally involved in this. What, if I feel comfortable with
If
it,
I'm out of town, I'm not involved at all, Jim. If I'm not
neither
involved-
am I, but I'm willing to take that chance because
Well,
I
that's why I'm
don't.
wondering why it has to be done just like that, why we can't have a couple of
Well,
days if we need it.
because by the things they're saying at the Fulton meetings, it could be as soon as the 15th.
And we have time constraints, and I don't know what they are. We do not have an attorney that is very knowledgeable in this type of action on board. We need to have someone that we can, at least I think we need to sit down and talk with this attorney for a short period of time, even before we're served, is my feeling. I know you don't agree with that, but I think we need to get this,
And if we take-
get our ducks in order so that when the action hits us, and I feel 100% certain it's going to, that we be prepared rather than sitting back saying, gee, why didn't we?
And if we have to
Doesn't
pay
make
some
sense.
lawyer a small amount of money because we talked to him for a short period of time, and then for some reason Wide Waters doesn't petition, I don't really think that we were...
I think it was money well spent.
Yeah.
So you're already expecting to spend money, now you're telling
I'm
me. before you-
I'm expecting to be
I
petitioned.
sure am. I'm expecting to be petitioned. I'm expecting to spend money. That's why we put extra money in the budget for next year, so that we could handle this situation. We raised it to $10,000 so we'd have this money. Howard, that was in anticipation of this.
There's another factor too. Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, what we are doing here will be known by every person with cable television, if they're tuned to the appropriate channel, tomorrow night. And I think by taking firm action and saying, we are hiring an attorney, says to the city of Fulton, we mean business. And I'd like, for that reason, I would like to go proceed and hire an attorney.
I'm still not comfortable with it. I'd rather just wait and see what happens. If it happens, then we proceed. I just don't see the need to do what this proposal is asking.
All right, is there any other discussion? Byron, will you poll the council?
Councilman Ridgway.
Aye.
Councilman Rhodes,
No.
Councilwoman Smart,
Aye.
Councilman Warner,
I'll vote aye.
Supervisor McFarland,
Aye.
Now, what this means, if we get petitioned tomorrow, Dave, and I'm not available, you'll be hiring an attorney, which we don't even know who that's going to be at this point. We don't know how much it's going to be, is that correct?
That is incorrect, Howard. I would certainly consult with you and the rest of the town board before any...
But if we're not available, I'm saying,
Hey, you would be available in a few days.
but you're not going to wait a few days according to what Claudia said, we don't have time. So that means you'll be...
A few days to hire a lawyer, yes, but we're not going to wait a few days and then look for a lawyer. We're going to start looking immediately.
So how does this resolution provide us with something that we didn't have anyway? I mean, you can look anyway. What's to stop any of us from looking for an attorney within the next few days?
This makes it so that when we are petitioned, if there isn't a quorum available, a lawyer can be hired.
We'll have one on board.
We want to get one. I would like to have this
There are
Dennis
things we
come in
can-
with some recommendations tomorrow or the next day. He's been searching, he's been looking for
He
people.
does have some recommendations, and I asked him to weed them down a
And
little
he'll get
bit.
them back and he'll weed them down, and it gives us an opportunity
But
rather
if we take
than...
it a forum to interview them, it's going to be a one-person decision, is that correct?
No,
Then why do we need a resolution?
we have passed the resolution already.
I realize that, but I'm just trying to understand it, because I'm still confused as to why we had to have this particular resolution.
I'm not sure I can explain it so you'd understand it now.
And then you'll understand why I voted no then.
Any other new business? Any petitions to come before us? Public comment? Yes.
Hi, my name is Colleen Scott. In the last week, we've put together a little group of people. It's called SAVE, and it's called Stop Annexation of Volney by Extortion. We've talked to a lot of people. Everyone we've talked to has been opposed to our land being annexed into the city of Fulton. We've been contacting the retailers, who were quite surprised. When Hardee's was contacted today, she said that Widewaters told them that annexation was the fastest and easiest way to go. She had no idea what kind of hornet's nest she was getting into. PNC tried to tell us that we should call Widewaters, and we told PNC that Widewaters was well aware of how the people in the town of Volney felt from the time that they came to our meeting and spoke to us. I have some flyers here. I can make up more. It has the names and addresses of the people from Hardee's, PNC, and Kmart. People that you can call and express your concerns one way or the other, and because they're quite interested. And I'm really glad that the board voted tonight to be ready to have an attorney. I watched that meeting from Fulton. Howard, you were there. I saw you, and Bill Pierce was there, and Bill Pierce stuck up for us and said, you know, you people from Fulton keep saying give, give, give. You're not giving us anything. You're charging a lot of money for it. So if anyone's interested in our little group, then contact me or some other people. There's other people's names on the flyers. So thank you.
Anybody else have public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Donna Kessler, I have a couple questions, or more than a couple, I guess. Whatever happened to that Fulton area partnership thing that we were in? Didn't we pay money and we were supposed to all be friends and everything?
Well, I think it's really the Fulton annexation project, and I think it's over.
That's a very good question. I was looking at some past minutes myself on that same subject. I was wondering myself, in fact, I will be inquiring about that for the next meeting.
Three other, I guess. The traffic light at the school, I wondered what the update is with that. Is that in our hands now, or?
No, that's in the, I believe the DOT's, everything's done. It's a matter of installation. We have authorized the funds in the budget. I don't know whether you know, you wouldn't have noticed it anyway, but we authorized $8,000 in the budget to pay for those traffic sign, or traffic control devices, and that's our responsibility paying for them, and the rest is up to the DOT, Department of Transportation, to install them.
Okay. And two more things. I'd like an update on the park. It was Randy's recreation group left off the thing by mistake, or we're not?
Yes.
Okay.
If there is a report, I don't have one.
The only thing that I can tell you is I've contacted Mr. Kirby. I've asked him to do the topsoil excavating. He's told me that when he has his equipment available, he'll start. That's the best I can do at this point. That's as far as I can go. I was under the impression he was going to start soon.
When did you contact him?
A month ago, and he had various different work to do, and
Do we have any
he's supposed to be doing it.
for this, or?
I've been pushing him. I'll tell you that. I've talked to him on numerous occasions, more than just once, certainly.
Well, Jim, if we have an outside contractor that carries his own liability and is willing to come in and help, is it permissible?
As long as he's got his own liability, I would see,
mean, as long as
I personally would have
as
no.
long as the highway is busy, which I know, they can get quite busy. If we had a reliable contractor that said he'd help, is it permissible?
I don't know that. It would have to be under Bob's supervision, but I certainly have no problem if you had someone coming in like that, Jess. I assumed that it was going to be done that way, and it hasn't happened.
And my last question was, what was that about, Jesse asking you about an advertisement in the newspaper? I didn't hear any answer to that, because I know with the Valley News, you do have to have it in a certain day, and how was it in Monday and not voted on until Saturday? I'm confused. Please.
So am I, because I didn't get an answer. I know it was in there Monday, that they had the meeting Saturday, and it had to be put in Thursday or Friday. So how could it be approved to be put in the paper? The meeting wasn't until 9 o'clock Saturday morning.
Can somebody answer that? Did Byron put it in, or?
I think it was a matter of timing, Jess, and it was a matter of timing.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
you're
no
right.
matter of timing, because the bid isn't here tonight. There's not even nobody wants the truck again.
No, it's not.
It's got to be. There's no resolution here to purchase the little bid.
That's right, because Bob Kerfing could not be here, and therefore I was not going to have the resolution with it, and
Well, then it wasn't a matter of time. If the resolution went to the paper on Monday, it would have been in the following Thursday.
At that point in time, I did not know that Bob Kerfing could not make this meeting. Any other public comment?
No answer.
Yes, Don.
Okay, last month I came before... Okay, my name is Dominic Clavelli. I live on the Kingdom Road. And if I hear any more grumbles, I'll really yell. Okay. I came here to object to the subdivisions south of me and also to the north of me. A couple of good things happened out of tonight's meeting, but I hope I can see them come through. First of all, my apologies to Kevin, but I was not approached when the people put a double-wide trailer to the north of me. I also was not approached for a double-wide trailer to the south of me. I am assessed for about $3,000 or better. I don't even know what I'm at, but I know I'm $3,000 or better. My whole objection to putting in a subdivision and allowing double-wide trailers to conform, or actually that are not conforming to the existing buildings, upsets me to the point where I would like to have my assessment reduced. Either that, Either that, or get the double wide trailers out of there and have them put normal houses in there. Now, I've been objecting to this since 1992, ever since I found out that they were putting in a subdivision to the south of me. Today, I took a walk, some 200 feet. I asked Kevin about this during the hearings. I wanted somebody to come in there and check that land and give me an honest opinion of what they think. And as of today, you know how much rain we've had, you know how much snow we've had. It should have saturated right now, but now he's got groundwater, or whatever water there's in that backyard. Now, I said before, and I'll say it again, that area is being rapidly developed, and it shouldn't be. Because unless you people take a stand on what's going on, then we're going to be hightailing it someplace. I have no objections to building. I have no objections to, people living in the area. But that's not the point. The point is you're putting too many houses in a small area, which is about 4.5 miles, maybe 5 at the most, give or take. And right now, we've got over, like I say, probably 75 or 80 houses. And each one has about 125, maybe 150 feet of road frontage, if not more. Now, I wish you people, the town board, I asked for, last meeting, I forgot what the word was I used, but it'll come to mind.
Accountability.
Pardon me?
Accountability.
Accountability, okay. I want somebody to be accountable for what is going on Kingdom Road. Now, he said that the county was going to take a look at the amount of water that was up there, whether it's going to be suffice for 13 houses, mobile homes, motor homes, whatever. But what I'm saying is there's not going to be enough room. I am asking, and I will go to the assessment board and attempt to get my assessment reduced either down to the double wide trailer level or get the double wide trailers out of there and put stick-built houses in there. That's one problem. The second problem, the town went ahead and put a 4-way stop down on Kingdom Road and 45. Pardon me?
The county.
The town had to be on one side.
Okay. Going onto a county or state road, they are responsible to put the sign up.
Well, it's a town road on this side, it's a county road on the other side. I'm sorry, Jess. It's a town road on this side.
I know that, Dominic, but the county controls that intersection because it is county highway.
Well, anyway, it was addressed, wait a minute, it was addressed that the 4-way stop signs were in there. I'm asking the town board right now to have Mr. Bellardini or whoever cut about 6 foot of those evergreen trees out so that when you're heading north, you could see who's coming around on 45 from coming east or coming west. As of right now, you can't see. And if they're coming from 45 east on the Kingdom Road, they can't see the car coming from Kingdom Road north. Now, that may sound, far-fetched, but no, it's true. I travel that area all the time. And I wonder whether I'm going to get hit by somebody from 45 coming off of, driving west. And I'm asking the town board to go ahead and approach somebody to cut something in that area so that you can see. I also addressed the issue on speed. I told you I was going to come before the town board with a petition. I'm in the process of getting this petition signed so I can get everybody on Kingdom Road. Not just one person, not 50. I want them all. because there's literally too many kids, too many hidden driveways. When we come out of Marsh Road, on the Kingdom Road with a fire truck, you haven't got a prayer. Because those cars are coming up there, and I guarantee you, if they're not doing 60, they're doing 70. So we've got to have some way of controlling this. Hidden driveways, kids, speed, you got emergency vehicles, you got handicapped people. You know, please take pity on us. That's all I've got to say for tonight. Thank you.
Charlie?
Concerning the resolution to hire a lawyer.
Identify yourself, please.
I'm sorry, I'm Charles Smart. The Widewaters publicly announced that they intended to petition for annexation into the city of Fulton. I think it's essential that we get a lawyer just as quickly as possible. I don't think we need to wait for a petition. They said they're going to do it. If we wait for a petition, we're just playing into their hands, giving their lawyer more time to put their stuff together. I think it's important that the resolution was passed tonight to empower the employment of a law firm, and I think we should do it just as soon as possible. If we're lucky enough that they change their mind for some reason, great. But if we spend some money for a lawyer to begin looking into it, I think it's money well spent, because that in itself may help dissuade them from doing it. I certainly think we should move ahead with all speed possible to get a good, competent lawyer, a law firm that is well-schooled, well-experienced in annexation problems.
Yes, sir.
My name's Alan Kessler. Concerning this Widewater thing, if they ever do come, they never have come to us, except when they were in here jumping up and down one night, telling us how they needed the water and we had to pass it and blah, blah, blah. And I thought was it 1 March or 1 April deadline of last year, right? That Kmart, you know, they had to know. Now they're still, well, now it's 1 December or is it 1 January or whatever. Do we have a contract with Widewaters, town of Volney? Is there any contractual agreement between us and them? There's no document that says good faith in it, is there? Because, you know, I'm lecturing this choir here, ain't I? I know that. But they have not dealt with us in good faith. And whenever we read in the paper that attorney Nancy Hornick, who specializes in real estate and annexation, was hired by Widewater to pursue annexation, she was sent to a September Common Council meeting as a smoke screen. That's not good faith on their part. And they're down here with a $10 million project, and they don't want to put in $5,000 worth of sidewalks for us who, well, I don't know, if it stays in Volney, I'll shop there. I'm not making any threats. I would like to point out to the city of Fulton that their population's about 12 or 13,000 people. And I would like to also point out to them that the combined population between Granny and Volney is about 12 or 13,000 people. They have a 3% sales tax down there so that they don't have to pay so much property tax. We don't have a sales tax. We cannot get a sales tax because we're a town, is that correct? We cannot do that. So we by shopping in Fulton, we are helping them keep their sales tax, their property taxes down. And they've forgotten that. They've forgotten that. If they want a level playing field, then I say to them, and you should remind them of this, repeal the city sales tax. That will level out everything. That will make it, of course, their real estate taxes go up. Their real estate taxes will go up. Probably about where ours are. But, you know, they talk about level playing field, and, well, we know who's uphill. What did she say? The mall is in my court now. Is that a tennis joke? Or is that a legal joke? She's not the judge. She doesn't have a court. I don't know. She has so many meanings there. It was cute. I would like to know why, whenever they were out here jumping up and down about we had to make all these deals, they didn't have enough sewer. All of a sudden now, they have enough sewer. And I don't see any new sewers being built out in Fulton there. I don't know what's going on. We're being, well, we're we're being scammed is what we are. As far as that Girardi, he's that fella comes out here with the glasses and the $600 suits, isn't he? He's their lawyer, is that right?
The skinny one, Blue Eye Owl.
The skinny one? I don't know about that. He's down there stroking. He commends Mayor Valette, commends John Lincoln, the alderman, and several other aldermen. Say they have shown that they can do what is right for their constituents despite the political pressure utilized by a vocal minority only to capture the limelight merely to be reelected. I have trouble with these complex lawyer sentences here. Or to preserve their own selfish economic interests and to the detriment of the entire community. Now, I don't know these people. Do they own businesses downtown? I don't understand what he's talking about there. Sounds like he's talking about us. He says he's talking about the... No, he's surely not talking about us. I hope not. I hope not. I don't know what selfish economic interests Volney has. We just want to keep what's ours. If they think they don't have... They can't get any more land, they say. Well, neither can we. That doesn't seem to be very obvious to them.
Man, I'm gonna make
We're not going to, no, we can't get any more land for development. I mean, that's, you know, I got 120 acres of swamp across my road. If they want it, you know, I know the lady will sell it to them cheap. That's all they want is land. But, you know, land for development, they have the same problems we have. And I'm tired of this here, well, we're going to tell you what's best for you, and we're going to annex them. And I'm glad this resolution was passed too, because I think that we're probably going to get something soon. I wouldn't go out and hire the guy tonight, but I think that we're probably going to get something here. And I hope that everybody in the town of Volney, I hope at least everybody in this room, is determined to fight this as much as we can. And we may lose. We may lose. We may lose the fight for the annexation, but if we lose that fight, there's still another fight. There's still another fight. And you remember that sign used to be down at Wendy's? Stop here to eat for lunch on your way to the mall? Yeah. They meant Great Northern Mall. We can have them put that sign up again, because we don't have to shop there. And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have to shop in Fulton. Now, I have a business in Fulton. I'm not making it. I have a business in Fulton. Okay, I don't pay sales tax, so if it was up to Hillary Clinton, I would, but I don't yet. I don't yet. And I think that, you know, when you talk about Fulton Area Partnership, they get a lot of benefit from us as Volney residents. And I think that they just don't, maybe they've lost sight of that. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm not making any threats. But, you know, I'd be glad to see another Kmart come in there. My wife and I just went up to Kmart, and I'm not dropping names here, but we went up to Kmart last Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yeah, we went up there to do some Christmas shopping, and if there were a Kmart in town there, we'd get down there as long as it's, you know, Volney Kmart.
Anybody else before I recognize you, Charlie? Okay, Charlie?
Yeah, I want to bring out one other point, and that is we're not dealing with something that has been open and above board here. John Lincoln made great comments to the press that he'd been working since, what was it, February? March, in secret, because because they were afraid that if we knew that this was an ongoing thing to annex our property, that we wouldn't approve their building permits. Now, that is not dealing fairly and openly and honestly with us. I don't think that we have any chance of dealing fairly and openly and honestly with Fulton without an attorney who's a specialist in annexation at our side.
Yes, Dan.
Dan Russo. Howard, are you for or against the annexation?
I've stated I was against it before. The whole board did, Dan.
They never seem to say when they're interviewing you. Last month, you brought up about that conveyor. I did some checking, and that was only 18,000, not 40. And it was to eliminate the need of buying another bulldozer, not a payloader. bulldozer with the tracks that they use to pile the thing up. I just wanted to...
I remember $40,000 when Bob brought it to us, and the piece of equipment that was being used at the time was a bulldozer, you're saying? That may well be too.
As you made it, you know, I just wanted to clear the difference between a bulldozer and a payloader, because they did buy a payloader later in the year, but it was not.
And what are they using the payloader for?
Well, they don't use it to stack sand that high. They can't drive it up on there like that, like they could with a bulldozer.
They're not using it in the sand at all?
Well, sure, I'm sure they're using it to load the trucks and stuff.
And it's effectively replaced the bulldozer, correct? Because that's what the bulldozer was being used for.
No.
You can't push the bulldozer all the way to the top either.
The bulldozer was pushing it all the way to the top. The bulldozer is what stacked it in years past. That's how they got that pile so high, was with the bulldozer pushing it all the way to the top. They can't get a payloader over to the top. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. I just like to see all the actual facts brought out. And Jess, I heard something, and I'm only going to say I heard this allegedly because I didn't hear it with my own ears. I've only heard it secondhand. That after last month's planning board meeting, you went out in the hall and made a remark to some of the people on the Kingdom Road that I didn't give a damn about their water problems because I was moving out of the area. I hope you didn't say that.
It wasn't phrased quite that way, no.
Because I just don't think it's a very professional thing for a board member, a town board member, to go out and say something like that about any of the town's planning board, especially when you haven't even asked me what my feelings were on it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Just to follow up on Dan also, I think it was asked of the whole board here about a year ago if we were for or against annexation, and we all said no. And Claudia and I served on a committee to discuss it with Fulton, and as you well know, we're not in favor of it then either.
The only reason I asked is it said in the paper you were talking about negotiations again with the city. And
I was talking about negotiations with the city?
Yeah, that's what they said in the article. That's why I asked.
Well, you know you can't believe everything you read in the paper the way they say it, but just to follow up on that, what I did say to them was all the cards have not been laid on the table, and they haven't. We don't know all the details of this whole project. They've never really been presented to us in their entirety. And I'm not going to make any decisions based on what we've got so far. Certainly, I don't want to annex any land, no. But, you know, we want to hear the whole story, too. And we don't want any more of these closed-door meetings. And I'm confident that the newly elected people in Fulton will be more open to discussion with us on the issue, so we'll know what's going on instead of meeting privately behind closed doors. It's been that way from day one, including our former town board before. A few members of it were meeting behind closed doors without the entire board's knowledge of it when Widewaters first came to Volney with their proposal. So I hope that in the near future here that won't happen again. What I'm referring to is when they sent a letter to the town board at the time asking us to come up and have lunch at their new facility in Syracuse. Well, Jess and I looked at it and said, what's this all about? We didn't know what it was. Nobody seemed to know when we asked, so we threw it in the trash can. Come to find out, our supervisor and I think Kevin, maybe did you go? And I think our zoning board chairman went to this knowing maybe what it was. I don't know if you knew or you just wanted to go, but we didn't have any idea what it was and no one told us, so we didn't attend. But what it was to talk about this. And that's what I'm referring to. Things like that have been going on since day one. So I don't have a lot of trust in the way Widewaters does business, and I didn't have much faith in the way that the current governing body in Fulton has been doing business either, but I'm confident that in the new year that may change.
Yes.
I just have one more comment to make. Actually, it's a plea, that if there's any more joint meetings between Fulton and Volney, that they're held in Volney. So we don't have to go back down to Fulton and be treated the way we were treated in March. That was humiliating. So I hope that if there's any more of these little joint meetings where we're going to get together, that it's in Volney and they have to come here.
Personally, I'm hoping that the whole attitude changes, Colleen, so that there isn't this us against them thing anymore. I hope we can just cooperate and talk about it.
Yes.
Yes, my name is Cindy Tolbert, and I agree with Howard. Although I don't believe that Volney really wants to annex its land, and Mr. Kessner's probably right in his population figures that there are 12,000 people in Fulton and Granby, and Volney have 12,000 people. We are a community. Mr. Smart said that we should not be having meetings behind closed doors, and unfortunately, we've had an awful lot of that going on, and our governments have seemed to think that those are called negotiations and things that the public don't need to be included on. And I don't think that's true. I think if we stopped playing games and we started talking to each other reasonably and rationally, maybe we could come to some kind of agreement which would benefit all of us. If the city of Fulton falls apart, it's not going to help Volney. If Volney falls apart, it's not going to help the city of Fulton. It isn't going to do any of us any good to go up there ready to fight each other. We need to talk to each other. We may not agree, we may not have the same opinion, but if we can't talk like reasonable, rational people, we're never going to accomplish anything.
Yes, Alan Kessler, I'd like to make one comment in that regard. And there may be some middle ground, but there are people on the the city council in the city of Fulton who believe that if the city of Fulton cannot have the mall, then the town of Volney cannot have the mall. And they can do that by shutting off the water. And that would be one way to do it. Now, they can get their own water supply, they can build their own sewer, but there are people who believe that. And with that mindset, I cannot see where the middle ground is. If that's where they're starting out, I don't see any middle ground, because there doesn't seem to me to be any. And I agree with you 100%, and I agree with the board 100%. And Alex Grimshaw was here last time saying, you know, people need to work together. He wasn't only talking about us, he may have been talking about the Fulton Area Partnership. But I tell you, they've treated us badly. They've treated us very, very badly. And I don't like what's coming out in the paper, and I don't like their holier-than-thou attitudes and the way they're looking down the noses at us. They don't understand. We are part of the consumers that help pay this tax to begin with. And we didn't ask for that. Who asked for the mall to come in there? They came to us, didn't they? Okay, if anybody from Kmart's watching, just remember that. They came to us. They asked us what we had to offer. We told them what we had to offer. They said, fine. And now all of a sudden, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I read about the lady today who, the fellow, they had this short relationship. She's in her 50s, and at the airport, she says, will you marry me? Will you marry me? He said, yeah, 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 and gets on the airplane, sends her postcard, says, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. She sued him, got $178,000. So, you know, it's like they asked us to marry us, and when we said yes, now they're leaving us standing at the altar.
Also, one thing I don't think you realize, Cindy, because the meetings between Fulton and Volney and Granby were not open because they were negotiations. Their idea of municipal cooperation is to build industry in Volney, and they share the taxes.
And the scary part...
They want to give us the garbage, and they want the money. If we get the garbage, we should get the money.
And the scary thing is, there's 20-some acres they're talking now. There's another piece of land. This is the prime industrial property in the town of Volney. And the problem that we have is, it looks to me as though this thing is expanding at leaps and bounds. And our problem is going to be that next group of land goes, they're pretty close to Miller. They wanted it originally. I'm scared of that.
Yes.
Reynolds, and I want to say I'm against annexation, but maybe there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, because you've got to remember Wagwaters is praising a number of people on the Fulton Council and the mayor. And all of them are going to be out of office, but one who only had a write-in candidate running against them, and we don't really know how the other people do feel. And, you know, we are, yeah, so, I mean, you know, we hope for the best and everything, but a lot of things were done behind closed doors. But maybe this new group, one of the reasons I think they got elected was because the people in Fulton didn't like the way things were being handled. And, you know, we are really all connected in one way or, you know, or another, and I really hate to see a war between everybody, but I don't want to see Volney write Fulton off, because there is a new administration coming on board. We have to give them a chance to see how they're going to operate, and not assume they're going to operate exactly like the people that, you know, they opposed and beat.
Yes, for one thing that I would want in any negotiations is the first ground rule is there will be no annexation
Volney property. They keep talking about giving away their golden resources. There are people in the city of Fulton actually who believe that Fulton is giving something to Widewaters. They buy the water. They buy 300,000 to 1.4 million gallons per day from the Metropolitan Water Board from a tap in Volney. They're going to resell this to Widewaters at a good markup. They aren't giving away any resource, and in fact, Volney can set up its own water board for them, their own water district, and we can sell it to them for only administrative costs. We can undercut Fulton's water by a tremendous amount of money to the law. We can build sewage treatment plants.
They come in kits.
They come in kits now. They're called pigs.
Double wide trailer.
Supervisor McFarland, could I open up back on the new business? One reason to give you permission to have our highway superintendent get with the county on the intersection of County Road 45 and King Road with the tree problem.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Covelli brought up.
Yes.
Because I think you're going to have to go to the county because it falls under their jurisdiction.
I also am afraid that some of those trees may be on private property, and I'm not sure what can be done in that situation.
They'll have a look at it.
Have you got a new resolution on your new business?
Pardon?
Did you make a new resolution under the business?
No.
That's what I want to know.
Well, Byron, all Jess wanted to do was reopen so that we could look into that situation. I think that was your intent to have Bob do it, Jeff?
Yeah.
That was his
Yeah.
intent.
Mr. McFarland, okay, you just mentioned to Jess, some of it may be on private property. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, town property, county property goes from the center line of the road to approximately either 40 or 50 foot from there. This is all town or county property. Those trees that I was talking about are smack dab on the shoulder. You cannot help it.
It depends upon the original road right-of-way, because they go, now they're basically 66 feet from town. But
33 feet on the
But
side.
it is 33 feet on the side from the center of the road. But previously, there are various different widths of roads, depending on state and county, depending on what the right-of-way was when the road went in originally. So I would have no idea what that was. And that's what we'll check that out for you.
Yes.
Jim, can I make a
Yes.
suggestion here that I get together with Bob Kerping, also with the county, and determine if what can be done with those trees, and if we can do something, we certainly will, and I'll report back at the next meeting. All right?
Yeah, because it's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
I know you talked about a safety hazard.
I know. I've been there myself. I know the problems. Yes.
Why don't we just go by our code enforcement officer and enforce our zoning? Our zoning says that from 50 feet from the intersection back, you can have nothing over 4 feet in height, blocking the view. That's all we gotta do.
That's building, that's not trees.
You don't believe that covers both?
That doesn't cover trees.
It covers hedges, but I think they were there before our zoning.
I'll report back next meeting. Any other public comment? Thank you all for attending. Future meeting dates, special board meeting for budget review and approval this Saturday at 9 a.m. There will be a zoning update meeting November 17 at 7.